Right, welcome back everybody to Not Raccoon City. How are you all doing today? I hope you're doing well. As you can see by the title of the video, today is a bit of a different one. So, as I've mentioned throughout my build, I wanted to learn new things, and doing things like this on YouTube, such as my last video, like editing my first ever video. I want to learn things, I want to get better at this, and I thought I'd share some of what I've learned with regards to command blocks, various in-game commands, and a few other helpful blocks for creative mode. So today what I'm going to cover is a few basic commands, such as giving the player an item, the fill command, so you can fill in large blocks of areas at once, how to teleport players, including yourself, how to summon various mobs and entities, how to detect a player, and also how to create a chain of command, and how to clone blocks. This one is one that people do ask me about on Discord, how to turn it permanently nighttime for their creative world, how to actually give a player a command block, an introduction to the barrier block, an introduction to the light block, an introduction to the structure void, and how to get an NPC. These are commands that do not show up in the creative menu. So I'm going to try and cover them today. Obviously the first one is how to give a player an item. So you can do this with any item in the game, except, I will say this, concrete. For some reason, there's just no command for normal concrete. Concrete powder, yes. Normal concrete, no. I've looked at various guides, including fandom and wiki. There is nothing. Apparently, that is something that's going to be updated in 1.20.10. So, yeah, that's a bit of an issue at the minute. So, the basic way that the give player command works is you have the /. If you're doing anything in your chat, you have to start it with a /. That is the introduction to giving the command. Then it is give, space, and the player name. So for example, with the command block, which we'll start off with because we're going to need that. Obviously, I've got /, give, space, then my name and code, space, command, underscore, block, and that will give the player a command block. If your hotbar is full, make sure you check into your inventory. Sometimes it appears up here. If you've already got one, as you can see, because I've double tested these, they do stack. And you can do this with any item. So if, let's say I wanted a netherite sword, it would be / give, space, your player name, space, and then I believe the command is netherite underscore sword, and that will appear in your inventory. So to start us off, one of the earliest commands you can use for building in bulk areas is the fill command. Now don't be daunted by all these XYZs. I know they show up in the creative when you type in / fill. It says XYZ, XYZ in lots of little brackets. The brackets are not needed. For example, if I wanted to fill, let's say this area here, and I was to type in / fill 13 space -60 space 22, which is the coordinates for this block here. If I was to type that in, an error code comes up saying syntax error, because all I have put in is that code. So if I wanted to fill, say, this area here from this block up to this block, I would need to know these coordinates for this block here that I'm standing on, the coordinates for this block here where I want to fill up to, and just for ease, I have placed the coordinates here. Now, these three squiggles here, which is the symbol for approximately, means if I wished to fill that area in from here, I would type in /fill space 13 space -60 space -22, because that is the X, that is the Y, and that is the Z coordinates of that. I am then filling it to this area. So I leave a space between the commands. I would then put in 17 space -55 space 22. Then you place another space. I haven't done it on this because I ran out of sign room. And then whichever block you would like. Now the approximately sign is the one I use the most, because if I was filling it, I would simply stand here, mark down the coordinates, say I need to fill up to here, and then you simply pop in the coordinates of the first one, which was so /fill space 13 -60 22, sorry, with spaces in between. But then instead of putting in the second coordinates, you put in approximately space approximately space approximately, and that will fill from that area there up to where I am stood. I'll give you a quick example of this. Let's have a look. Just double check. I've read this out so many times. So /fill space 13 space -60 space 22 approximately space approximately space approximately space, and we'll say, let's just say stone. So I put in space stone, press start, and that fills that area in. And because I only stayed on one axis, it only filled that one area. And the same would apply if you went back here. So I was one block too high there. But if I was to stand here, this may break this sign, and pop in. This is why I use approximately, so you don't have to constantly write down the second coordinates. Again, just leave it exactly as it is. Press right on your D-pad and press start. And now it's filled it in as a cube, because it has taken it from this position, gone out to this x-axis, out to this y-axis, and up to this z, and across to this z-axis. So that fills in that area. Obviously I went lower down so I wouldn't break this block. Again, you can't do this with concrete on Bedrock, to my knowledge. I may be wrong, but I cannot find a code for concrete anywhere. I have tried concrete _15. I have tried concrete _1 space 5, and yes, and it's not in the creative menu either. So hopefully when that update drops, we will get that. Teleporting players. This can be fun if you're building quite a large build in creative mode and you want to be able to get from A to B very quickly. In your chat, you can type in /TP space and then the player name, either yourself or another player if you want to teleport them, space X space Y space Z. And that will teleport the player to those coordinates. And another way I can show you is if you have a command block. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm going to test this. Probably should not whilst I'm recording, but why not? I don't believe if you have a command block that you need the /. So I'm going to remove that, click input. So what I have now is TP at at P. Now, at P is the nearest player, as you can see in this command list. And I have set the coordinates to 4 space minus 59 space 15, which is the center of that red block over there. The block type is set to impulse. It is unconditional. But what I've got it currently set on is needs redstone. So it will not work if I just tap it or look at it or even stand on it. If I had a pressure plate, that would work. But I've got it button activated. So when I press this button, the game will teleport the nearest player to those coordinates. Like so. And this can be handy if you're making builds that require large jumps from one area to another, or if you're making obstacle courses or escape rooms. The summon mobs and entities. This one is quite good fun if you're luring and setting traps, or if you just want to spawn a large number of villagers. It's pretty simple. If you're in the chat, as per usual, always remember the /. You need that in chat. And then it is summon space entity. And again, X, Y, Z is the coordinates, putting a space in between. If you're using a command block, you don't need the /. And you can go summon, so in this instance I've gone villager. So summon space villager -9 space -59 space 26. Obviously the coordinates will be wherever you wish to summon it. Click the input command. Again, like the teleporter, I've got this one set to impulse and needs redstone. Bop. And now we have our villager. And you could summon a zombie in there if I wished. So what I will do, because I'm cruel, is we will remove the word villager. Place in the word zombie. Input that command. And press the button. The player detector block. Now this one is a confusing one to me. It took me a while to get used to it, but I'm also going to explain how this works and how you can actually chain on additional commands. So with the detector block, it is blue because it is now set to repeat. I also have it set to always active. This means it doesn't require any redstone at all. Now the player detector is great for triggering scenes in whatever world you're building, or certain actions. Maybe you want fireworks to go off when a player goes near, or a certain sound or music to play. And the way we input that command, actually I'm not explaining that very well. Let's try that again. Oh, the joys of behind the scenes when you're recording and you don't know how to, and you're first learning to edit. Okay. So as you can tell, this block is blue. That is because that is set to repeat, which means it will activate anytime any player goes near it. It is always set to always active, which means there is no redstone needed, but you can obviously have it to redstone activated and use a pressure plate or a button. So for this command to work, it is simply test4, all one word, space at P, which will be the nearest player to the block, space, and then in a bracket, R equals, and then the radius of what you want the block to detect. So in which case for this, I have gone for 3, and then the closed bracket. So R equals 3 means that the 3 block radius around this block, which you can tell is why I've tried to not get too close, so it includes itself, so that is 1, 2, 3. I have currently got this block to detect me when I get within 3 blocks of it. When it detects me, it will send out a redstone signal into this comparator, which this repeater will transfer into this command block, which I have got set up to the teleport command we looked at before. So, except instead of at player this time, it will specifically teleport me. So, if another player was on here and they walked on this, no matter where I am in the world, that would teleport me over to that spot there. Quick example. As you can see, it came up in the corner, found Reaper, and then teleported me straight over. And because it doesn't require redstone and it is always active, every time I go near it, I'm teleported. Cloning blocks. Now this is a good little technique for if you're wanting to do things like gates or drawbridges or anything that you want to have the appearance of movement. Now cloning blocks, don't let these numbers scare you. It is actually far more simple than it looks. So if you're using it as a normal command, you have the /clone if you're using it in chat, and then you've got 3 sets of coordinates: XYZ, XYZ, and XYZ. Now, the first 2 coordinates are the items you wish to clone. And the last set of coordinates is the coordinates of where you want the item to go. So, for example, I can't show you in chat because it doesn't show up on my stream feed for some reason, so I can only show you in a command block, but you can do it both ways. So, as you can see here, I've got the /, but I don't need it in here. That's just bad habit. I have got clone space 26 space -59 space 24. I'll not go into the numbers. You can see them. They're obviously just the coordinates of the areas I want to clone. But the first 2 numbers is this block here and this block here. So that is the coordinates of those, hence why one is -59 and one is 54, because obviously this one is 1 block higher. And I want to clone them to this location here. So I have the coordinates here. The 2 blocks I want to clone and where I want to clone them to. So the last 3 sets of numbers, which is 31, -59 and 24, is where those 2 blocks will be teleported to when I press this button. Now this comes in handy if you're doing things like what I've done on my build for barriers falling down and gates opening when you get near them. Okay, now moving on to the different block types. So we have barriers, light blocks, structure blocks, and NPCs. First of all, the barrier block. This is an invisible block you can use in your creative world to prevent players or entities getting to areas where you don't want them to go. For example, as you can see, this villager is trapped here. He can't get out, but the minute I take the barrier block out of my hotbar, it becomes invisible. You can see it here, but I don't believe you can see it in survival or adventure mode. But it's just a good way of preventing players getting access to areas you don't want them to. Now to get that block, it is the give command in the chat, /give space, your player name or the player you want to give the barrier to, space, barrier. The light block. Now this is an interesting block that was only introduced to me a couple of days ago. I did not know if this even existed. So this block is great for if you want to have areas lit up but don't want level 15 lights or torches or end rods, anything like that, just hanging in the area. Say you've got a dark cave, you don't want to use glow lichen. This block, once it's placed, you can click it and it will emit a light level indicated by the number in the corner, all the way up to 15. Now the best way I can show you how to test this is to quickly go over to this command block over here, which is the always nighttime command. And this one is very simple. And it was the first command I actually learned to use. If your option in your game is set to always day, if you come across to this block here, type in time space set space midnight. It is on impulse, unconditional, and needs redstone. When I press this button, it will lock the game into nighttime, and because always day was active, the moon does not move. As you can see, it is permanently nighttime, which is a good chance to showcase this light block. So for example, I'll plop it here. The minute it's 0, it's emitting no light. 1 block of light. So at the minute, only this block is lit up. 2, 3, 4, 5. As you can see, it is gradually getting lighter. 5 blocks out. So it is going 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It lights up in that diameter. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to 15. And then once you click it again, you can reset it. It's just really good for dealing with dark areas or moody areas, or even if you want to light an entire area up, but you don't want the torches. And again, like the barrier, the minute you switch away, it disappears, even when it's fully lit. Oops. I said even when it's fully lit. Thank you. There we go. Right, I'll just quickly pop it back onto daytime. If you want to get it back to day, just go back to always day and activate. The structure void block. Again, another block that was introduced to me recently. This acts similar to a barrier in it can't be seen. However, it actually allows you to pass through it. But what this block does is it actually allows you to place items on it. So for example, it's like an invisible block. The only issue I had with this is ladders still can't be placed on it. I don't know why. That was really annoying because that was what I was hoping to have, was floating ladders. But what you can do with this block is you can place lanterns under it. Whereas on Bedrock, you can't really do that, because the minute you break anything above it, the lantern falls off. So, for example, if you wanted to create, I don't know, oh, I've lost my block, there it is. I don't know, a floating lantern. There you go. Probably be better with a campfire, that. I'm not a builder. And finally we have the NPC. Now, this guy, I actually have no idea how he works. I really don't. But unlike a villager, he will stay in one specific spot. Let's say you're building an arena and want lots of people in the audience. Or you just want NPCs stood around, say you're building a medieval village and you'd like somebody just stood around on a street corner. That sounds dodgy. But you can actually program NPCs, so you can give them names, you can give them dialogue. Hello. And there are advanced settings, so you can actually command them to do things. Me, I have no idea how they work, but what I wanted to show you is just how to actually get the egg. So when you have this, basically you can just spawn as many as you want. They all start off with this default skin, and then if you just right trigger them, they will disappear. You can change their appearance however you wish. I believe there are more, yes. Oh my goodness. Oh, you are terrifying. Right, let's not look at you anymore. Let's look at this. So in order to get your NPC, it is /give at, you can either use @p, which is the player, space spawn _ egg space 1 space 51. And that will give you the egg. Obviously, if you want to give it to another player, replace @p with their player's name. And that will pop that into their inventory for them. And maybe you guys can have a tinker around with it and work out what you actually do with these things. Well, I certainly hope that's given you some insight into how to use some basic commands. Hopefully, in the future, we're going to learn a lot more and get a lot more technically advanced at this game. So I hope it's been a help. If you've learned something new today, please just give me a like, give me a subscribe if you fancy it. And the first thing I'm going to say is a big shout out to Jurassic Fan, because I wouldn't have known about half of any of this had they not started giving me a hand with it. And this is what I want the channel to do. I want people to learn and do different things and learn different techniques. Hopefully my building techniques are coming across, and hopefully these commands and different types of blocks here are actually going to be helpful for you in your future builds. So, with all that being said, I hope you all have a great day, and as always, be good people, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.